Alright, YouTube, what's up? Woo! Yeah! Alright, today is a very special YouTube video. Today is Sunday, and let's keep my fingers crossed and let's hope that my cell phone don't cut the camera off, because if it does, it's going to get broken into 5 to 6, maybe 7 parts of a video. And then sometime this week or next week, when I finally get my 7-day vacation, I'll buy an SD card so the camera can stop cutting on and off, because I know some of you guys are getting very angry and irritated. Every time you watch one of my videos on my new channel, you're scratching your head like, damn it, Alex, why does the camera keep cutting on and off? And some of you might even want to say, you should have been got an SD card, which is true, I should have been got one. But when you got to keep going to work, you don't get a chance to do anything else. And I have my schedule already mapped out for me. You know, before I go get a haircut or hit the gym, I gotta wash my clothes again. But I don't want to bother you with that nonsense. So today we're going to talk about something that most guys want an answer to. I was asked by a friend of mine last year to do it, and I told him I didn't want to make the video. But I'm making this video for men who are from the ages of 18 to 29. With the minor exception, we'll do it from the ages of 18 to 35. This is the video that all men should watch. Black men, white men, Latino men, Mexican men. Doesn't matter if you're from Russia, Germany, or Paris, France. And maybe after spring break or towards the summer, I'll make a new series, which will explain why women love foreign men. But we're not talking about that video now, are we? We're talking about this video. This is going to be Sex Talk 101 episode 55. Sex with foreign women versus sex with American women. I'm going to say it again. That is Sex Talk 101 episode 55. Sex with foreign women versus sex with American women. I guess I'll title it USA. And in the description, I'll put women from the ages of 18 to 35, that's from foreign countries, versus American women from the age of 18 to 35. Now, if you watch my old YouTube channels, you should know that I made a title called Young Women versus Older Women. So think of this video as that video on my old channel. When you type up Alexander Oden, that's my first YouTube channel. My second YouTube channel is Alexander Number 2 Show. And just think of this one as that title. Now, there comes a time in life when you're a man, a heterosexual man, and you're sexually frustrated, and you live here in America, and for your whole entire life you've been told if you just get a house, a car, a job, make some money, everything will be perfectly just fine. Until you graduate from high school and college and you get into the real world and you find out very fast and very quick that 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and 365 days a year, it is 100% pure hell trying to find you a soulmate. You know, you go to work, they tell you at work, you come here to make money and work, and you're not here to find a soulmate. You go to the gym, you know, a place where you do cardio, you do weight training, you know, to get in great athletic shape, to get bigger, stronger, faster, athletic. And a lot of guys be trying to hit on the girls at the gym because they can't do it in a working environment. Because in a working environment, you can get 3 to 4 strikes. And then you can get fired and terminated from your job. And then you ain't got no job. And then it might take you 5 or 10 years to find you a new job. Because every time you go to a job interview, they will always bring up why you got fired from your job. Why you quit. You know, why you resigned. And then they find out it has something to do with sexual harassment. You know, you harassed some beautiful, attractive girl that you had a crush on, and she didn't like your sexual advances. Because let's be honest, whenever a girl goes to the H&R 90% of the time, she does not find that man physically, sexually attractive. and she don't want to hurt his feelings by telling them face to face. So like a coward, she'll go to the H&R's office and tell them, and then they have to be the ones to break the bad news to you, that she don't like your or want your sexual advances. You know, it doesn't matter if she liked you from the very beginning. It's the fact that when you try to communicate that, that's a problem. But the same thing happens at the gym too. And again, now you get told we can take your gym membership from you and you won't be working out here no more. So now you have to watch what you say and what you do at work and at the gym. Same thing if you're in school. You might find a girl in college that you like, and again, you got to watch what you say and you got to watch what you do. I've made plenty of YouTube videos regarding that. But by the time you get in your late 20s or your early 30s, you've already done self-improvement. You already got you a house. If not a house, an apartment. You already got you a car. You got 2 jobs. You've made a lot of money. You've done everything that you were supposed to do. But there's just this one little problem that just won't seem to never get solved. Why can't I get a girlfriend? I've done everything I was supposed to do, you know. And then now we get to the root of the problem. American women have this notion, this self-entitlement notion that it's I want everything or I'm not going to settle for less, you know, and I'm going to say it as I always say it, and I know some people are going to think of me as an asshole, and like Snoop Dogg the rapper said, let it be known, it is what it is. It's a man's YouTube channel made for men. And in the near future, I might make a future YouTube channel that's just for women. But right now, it's a man YouTube channel that talks about men problems. And that is sexual frustration. A lot of men don't like it when American women reject you. You get rejected 5 times, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. In 10 years, the average man, and I'm not talking about if you're rich and famous, I'm not talking about if you play basketball or football, let's exclude the 20% of men that don't ever face rejection. I'm talking about guys who are a part of the 80% that face rejection. In 10 years, you would have been rejected 100 times in 10 years. Not in 5 years. In 10 years, you would have faced 100 rejections by hundreds of women. You know, you get rejected at work. There might be at least 5 to 10 girls at work that you get rejected by. So that's 10 times you've been rejected at work. You go to the gym, you talk to another 5 to 10 girls. That's another 10 rejections. 10 plus 10 is 20. So that's 20 times you've been rejected. Now you try at school. There goes another 10 rejections. You try at the movie theater, the mall, still get rejected, right? And you're still trying to figure out what is it that you said and did wrong. And then, because you're an average man, women will use excuses like you're too short. Well, there's nothing you can do about being short. You know, if you were born short, then that's not your fault. But it gets used against you. If you're fat, well, you can fix being fat and out of shape. Just go to the gym. You can fix that. Now, if a woman say, I like guys that are muscular built, again, you can go to the gym to fix that. I've made plenty of fitness videos on my old channel and on my new channel regarding that, which I will make some more footage videos for those that don't know what I'm talking about. I will upload some of those onto this channel by filming some new material that would have got onto the old channels. But the point I'm trying to make is, you get tired of that. And then you get rejected by women that you went to high school and college with. And then I said 90% of the time, women who don't find you physically, sexually attractive, women who say they do not like you, all of a sudden come back 10, 15, 20 years later. They can come back 10 years later, 15 years later. They can come back 20 years later, and extreme cases 25 to 30 years later. Now all of a sudden they do find you physically, sexually attractive. Now all of a sudden they do like you. Problem is, it's 10 years later. It's 15 years later. It's 20 years later. It's 25 to 30 years later. And if you bitch and complain like a whiny ass crybaby, about 80% of American women will look at you and say, you ought to be happy and thankful that somebody gave you a slice of their apple pie. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you how if you were to bitch and complain by the women you got rejected by in high school and college, how that's going to play out. And you see, by this time period, you're not in your 20s anymore. Now you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, and you're in your 50s. Now, you get women that come back to you at advanced ages of 30 years old, 35, 40, 45, 50. You know, they come back at these advanced ages. And you only get these women in 4 terrible scenarios. Scenario number 1, you get women that are fat and out of shape. You know, you get women that's 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 500 pounds. You know, they're just fat and out of shape. And these are women you went to high school and college with. And then there are some cases where you meet women at your job or at the gym and they're in this type of condition. Now, to me and you, that's a problem. To them, they don't see absolutely nothing wrong with it. All they know is, well, you used to like me back in the day and we can hook up and we can, you know, hang out together. But that's a problem because that was 10 years ago. That was 15, 20 years ago. You wanted that from a woman and she wouldn't give it to you. Doesn't matter what the reason was. Doesn't matter if it was a good reason, a bad reason. She just, at that time, didn't feel like entertaining that idea. And then you get frustrated because you got a girlfriend, but then everyone's laughing and making fun of you because your woman's between 200 to 500 plus pounds. And you don't find them type of women physically sexually attractive unless you're a chubby chaser or you're a guy that can make some exceptions. I'm gonna make a future video call to give a woman a pass or not to give a woman a pass. That's gonna be a future video for guys that might say, "What about giving a woman a pass?" I'm not gonna do all of that in this one video because too much information in one video will get people confused real fast, real quick. So we're just trying to stick on one subject, and all the other ideas that you want to make into a video, just wait until later, okay? One video at a time, one idea at a time. I don't want people to get confused and get lost. Because when we talk about too much in one video, they get lost, they get confused, and then the message of the video doesn't get understood. And then I have to make 5 videos because the first video failed to get people's attention. So we want to do something that's never been done before. That's try to grab everyone's attention with one video and not have to make a series of videos all the time. Now back to the video. That's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, she's old enough to be your mother or your grandmother. You know, usually if she's 30, 30 years old, some people say it's not too young, not too old. So some guys don't bitch and complain if the girl's 30 years old. But if the girl's 35 years old, then the guy starts to get a little concerned because that's like 15 years right there. If the girl's 40, that's 2 decades. So you're very concerned because she's 40. Same thing if she's 45 or 50, again, you're concerned because she's older and there's not much for you to work with. Scenario number 3 is she has kids. And of course, you should know what scenario number 4 is. Scenario number 4 is she most definitely is ugly. And when you have sex with these women, you always thought it was the NBA Finals. You thought it was the World Series, the Super Bowl. You thought it was WrestleMania. And instead of WrestleMania, you get backlash. Well, the sex was okay with the girl that I got rejected by in high school and college. It ain't WrestleMania, it's backlash. That's if you're a wrestling fan. If you're a basketball fan, it's not the NBA Finals, it's the college Final Four. It's not the NBA Finals, but it's the college Final Four. Sex ain't that good. It ain't the World Series, but it's the pennant. It ain't the World Series, but it's the pennant. It ain't the Super Bowl, but it is a Rose Bowl, and it's not even the national championship. It's just a college bowl. It's just a cottage bowl or an orange bowl, but it ain't the Super Bowl. If you get the analogy of me telling you that when you do get the women that rejected you in high school and college, the sex ain't that good. And I believe they have a term for it called meaningless sex. Like, you had sex, but there's no meaning, there's no fun, there is no excitement, there is no purpose in having the sex. You had the sex, but it's like being told, I'm going to give you a PlayStation 4, and you get told that for 10 years. For 10 years, you get told you're going to get a PlayStation 4, but for 10 years, your parents will never give you a PlayStation 4 because a PlayStation 4 costs too much money, and they don't think you deserve a PlayStation 4. Well, 80 to 85% of the time, 80% of American women don't believe that you deserve a slice of their apple pie. Even if you do get a house or an apartment or a car, even if you get 2 jobs or 3 jobs, they still don't think you're worth their time of getting a slice of American apple pie or 2 slices or 3 slices or 4 slices or whatever you think you're going to get. And when it's 10 years later, 15 years later, or 20 years later, that's when these women decide to give you a slice of their apple pie. And you're bitching and complaining because they gave those slices of apple pie to basketball players, football players, baseball players. They gave it to the actors, rock stars, R&B singers. They gave it to the film directors. They gave it to men that are rich and famous. They gave it to 20% of rich, famous people and made you wait 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, some extreme cases 25 to 30 years. And then you get women at the advanced ages of 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55 years old coming back to you, giving you leftovers. And it comes in those 4 scenarios, those 4 options. And they're not very good options, they're bad options. The woman don't see nothing wrong with that. The woman don't think nothing bad of it. She thinking, well, you like me. It's been 10 years later, let's hook up. It's 15 years later, let's get into a relationship. It's 20 years later, let's fucking have sex. It's 25 years later, let's have kids. I mean, if she don't already have kids, you get the analogy. I hope you get the analogy. And as a man, you find that to be very rude and disrespectful because you've worked your ass off for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years, and all you get back in return is leftovers. And even when the woman gives it to you, it's still somehow, some way, it's still a nice way of being reminded you're being cheated out of a golden opportunity. And you say to yourself, don't nobody work 10 years, 15 years, 20 years and get cheated out of a golden opportunity. And there's no such thing of a time machine to go back into a time machine and try to get the girl when she's in her prime. You wanted the girl from the age of 18 to 29, and instead of that, you got the complete opposite of what you asked for. You got what you didn't want. Women in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s coming after you. You get the same girl. The problem is you get an older version. Like, how they always take movies from 10, 15, 20 years ago in Hollywood and they call them remakes? Like, you take James Bond for an example. Almost every James Bond movie you've seen with Daniel Craig is a remake from 20 years ago, right? Well, imagine you don't get the original Sean Connery. Instead, you get Daniel Craig. Well, you don't get the girl when she's young. You get the girl when she's old. And I'm talking about the girls that rejected you and blew you off in high school and college. Same thing if you talk to girls at your job and again you get rejected. Now, for what men start doing after a while. After a while, a lot of men start getting passports and they start going to foreign countries. to talk to foreign women. And when they first go there, they get a completely different experience than they're used to getting back home here in America. They'll get on a airplane and be on an airplane for about 10 to 15 hours, sometimes a little past 25 hours, to go to China, Japan, Asia, Korea, Thailand, the Philippines. They'll go to Russia. They'll go to Germany, Paris, France. They'll go to New Zealand. They'll go to all these foreign countries, and about 80 to 85% of the time, the foreign women that are from the ages of 18 to 29 actually have respect for men. Doesn't matter if you're a white man, a black man, a Mexican man, an Asian man. They have respect for men in general. And at that point, they're not looking at how tall you are or how short you are. They're not looking at you being fat and ugly. They just appreciate the fact that you're a man. And what they're taught in those foreign countries in that type of culture, if the man has a job, a house, and a car, that's what you're supposed to be looking for in the first place if you're a woman. And when you go to foreign countries, there's no such thing of mind games. There's no woman playing mind games. There's no such thing of a stupid ass shit test where I gotta test you to see if you're a man or a bitch. None of that stupid shit, none of that stupid bullshit exists in foreign countries. And when you go there, you don't have to struggle with getting a woman's phone number. Now, you still might get rejected by a Japanese girl, but at least when she rejects you, she do it with some class and respect. She's not going to bring you to the H&R's office to where you got to get embarrassed and publicly humiliated. She's going to actually sit down and explain to you why she doesn't find you physically, sexually attractive, and you get your answer. So you're not spending 5 years or 10 years being a whiny crybaby bitch. You're actually understanding, okay, she just don't like me, and you move on to the next female. Well, here in America, you're actually doing the complete opposite of the complaints. You're actually harboring 5 years or 10 years. That bitch did this. That bitch did this. In China and Japan, you're not having that problem. You hardly ever struggle for a phone number. Here in America, it might take you 3 or 5 years for a girl just to let you have her real phone number. In Japan, you get the phone number the minute the girl finds you physically, sexually attractive. And you see, in foreign countries, you ain't gotta be rich and famous to get some pussy. All you gotta do is just be your damn self. Here in America, you're supposed to be yourself, but if you ain't playing basketball or football, the vast majority of black women ain't talking to you. Even when a black girl say, I want a man with a house and a car, it'd be 10 years before the black girl even indicates or acknowledge to you, yeah, I like you. And then you get some women that are just bitches. I'm talking about American women, where they do find you physically, sexually attractive. Problem is, she want to do it when she get good and ready. And that's why I said 80% of the time, most American women that say they don't like you and don't find you physically, sexually attractive, they'll come back 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, and extreme circumstances, 25 to 30 years later. And just to let you know, when they do that, those type of women who make you wait for that long for a slice of apple pie, those women never respected you in the first place. They only come back because they got bills they have to pay, or they got 2 kids, or they got 3 kids, they got 4 kids, they got 5 kids, and they're looking for someone that they can trick and deceive into taking care of their bullshit trash. Because that's basically what that is. So they're trying to be cold and manipulating because the men that they were messing with in their 20s weren't trying to have no kids. The guys they were messing with ain't trying to be no father. So they come to the guys that they went to high school and college with because they figure you be easy to manipulate. You be easy to trick and deceive. Whereas you go to a foreign country, if that woman says she wants a family, she actually wants to actually have a family, and ain't none of this bullshit that you got to deal with when you're back at home. So a lot of guys from Los Angeles, California, New York City, Chicago, New Orleans, when they travel back and forth, when they do business, there's jobs, then there's careers, they go to these foreign countries and they come back with these foreign wives. Now you got some actors in Hollywood that date foreign actresses. You know, George Clooney, you know, Tom Cruise, and Leonardo DiCaprio is a prime example of it. All he dates is nothing but foreign actresses. Now, once upon a time, Leonardo DiCaprio did like American women, but he got rejected awfully a lot in his 20s. Even when he became rich and famous in Hollywood, American women didn't really like Leonardo DiCaprio. They just like his fame and his fortune. And once he realized this at 26, 27 years old, by the time he turned 30, he hung around guys like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. You know, he started hanging around Martin Scorsese, you know, film director. And they told him start dating foreign women. And he's done it, and he has never looked back ever since. Now, that don't mean he don't like American women. That don't mean he don't respect American women, because you do see him do a lot of Hollywood films with a combination of women from foreign countries as well as American actresses. The problem was he got rejected a lot. And what I'm saying in this video, American women, a lot of them, if they're black or Mexican women, they'll go to McDonald's and Burger King and call that lunch and dinner. Foreign women will actually cook lunch. They will make lunch. They will actually cook dinner. Now, some American women might take offense to that, and it's okay if you disagree and you call this woman bashing or you're just venting. It's okay. It's cool. It's nice to agree to disagree. Some might understand where I'm coming from, and some might just say you're just an asshole who's just angry and frustrated because you yourself got rejected. Yeah, I've been rejected plenty of fucking times. Plenty of times. By the end of the day, I am a man who is going to express himself realistically and practically. And most of you guys don't have no one to give you answers to the problem, so I'm here to give you answers to the problem by simply telling you you can travel the world, you can see the world, speak multiple languages, learn how to drink, learn how to express creativity. And what is one of our main points? Main points in the video is that who's better? To me, it's not a question of who's better, it's what's a better choice. Better choice is foreign women, because foreign women are actually going to give you a chance to prove yourself, to prove to them that you're not the typical guy that they see in the movies and the television shows or on the news media. Where American women, I'm going to judge a book by its cover because I've seen all the movies, the television shows, and I've seen the news. So a lot of times American women like to see stuff on the news and judge a book by its cover. Whereas foreign women have a tendency to, I want to see more about you and your culture, and then we can get to lunch, dinner, and sex and all that other stuff. So foreign women operate on a different system. American women operate on, as Big Boss Calvin 83 just loves to say until you're blue in the face, money, looks, and status. You might hear the word hypergamous because it gets used a lot on YouTube. A woman will say stuff like, I need a guy that has a house and a car. Then you'll hear a woman say, I need a guy that's rich and famous. Or I need a guy that's between 6 feet to 6'7". I need a guy that plays basketball and football. That's hypergamous. And the vast majority of American women, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, in some form or fashion, they are hypergamous. The only time American women actually want to come after you or want to like you is when you start dating outside your race and outside your country, and they have to compete. So if you force a woman to compete for you, now your value goes up. Your sexual V market as a man, it starts to go up by 85%. Because now the woman has to respect you. She has to take you serious. And the best part about competition is this is how you find out who's for real and who's full of shit. This is how you find out who tells the truth and who's just bullshitting. This is how you find this out. Now, some men will travel the world, and some men might say, what if I don't make enough money to travel the world? you don't have to really go to Japan or China, because a lot of the people from foreign countries are coming to America, so you can use that to your advantage. And by doing that, you're already getting an opportunity to prove that you're not like the guys in the movies and the television shows and the news media. What I'm saying is, 9 times out of 10, you got to be able to understand what is the problem. And you see, women from foreign countries, they might still reject you. Just so you know, they might still reject you. The difference is when they do it, is because it's done with some class and dignity. Now, American women that have class will still reject you too. The difference, what I'm saying is, when I say vast majority, when I say 80%, I'm talking about the women that you dealt with in high school and college, women at the gym, women at work, because 99.99% of the time, commonly, most men go after women at work, and it ends up being just like what happened to you in high school and college. It's just rejection. So it ain't foreign women is better than American women, and that American women is better than foreign women. The question you have to ask yourself, what is a better choice? The better choice is foreign women. But don't let that go to your head because I said it, because you could date you a foreign woman and it could be the worst experience in your entire life. You could date an American woman and it could be an okay experience, but it's not the greatest experience in your life. So I'm trying to give you different examples and different constructs for you to understand the good and the bad. There's good stuff about foreign women. There's bad stuff about foreign women. Sometimes if foreign women hang around a certain group of American women too much, they can become Americanized. So that's why I'm saying, don't think it's a 100% sure thing. I made the video so guys don't say you should make the video, so now the video's already been made. I didn't want to make this video longer than it intends to be, but I wanted to see if my cell phone would hold up. And then next video I'm going to make is going to be about this different crap. You know, a lot of women like to throw around, I'm different, I'm unique. And I'm going to basically debunk that in the next video. But this video is to say who gives the best sex. Now, when foreign women give out the best sex, a lot of guys like to describe it as, it was just like those pornos. And that's the best way to describe it. Until next time, peace.